Another very special Harcourts Rata and Co auction number 23, Deakin Avenue in LALOR. My name is Robert Ozzimo. I proudly represent the company of Harcourts Rata and Co, and I'm joined here today by some of my award-winning colleagues in blue. Should you require their advice throughout today's proceedings, please feel free to approach either Andrew, Aman, Valley, Rose, and of course I'm sure you've met throughout the marketing campaign Ilia Menkinoski and Ilia's boss, Lou Menkinoski, and no doubt again you've met throughout the marketing campaign. Boys, let me share with you now the following announcements which in place to have your bid and buy with absolute confidence here today. The auction will be conducted in accordance with the rules and any additional conditions that were made available for inspection before the start of the auction. The auction rules prohibit an auctioneer from accepting bids or offers for a property after the property has been knocked down to the successful bidder. The vendors have a reserve price as the auctioneer will indicate bidders on request. The law prohibits false bids, prohibits major disruptions by bidders, and prohibits bidders attempting to prevent others from bidding, and provides for fines for such conduct. The rules permit for vendor bids. The words I'll use during the auction to indicate that I'm making a bid on behalf of the vendor are vendor bid, and by law only I, as the auctioneer, can make a vendor bid. The contract of sale has been on display prior to today's auction. We call for a 10% deposit upon the fall of the hammer and the signing of that contract to take place here today, with the balance to be paid at settlement in 30 to 60 days time, at which time the vendor will provide the lucky buyer with vacant possession of the property. All in all, quite a straightforward contract. Everything's in there, everything's clear. Buyers, with my highest recommendation, what we offer you for your consideration and competition here today, make absolutely no mistake about it. The market is red hot. The market is on the move in 2025. Interest rates are on the way down and prices are on the way up. So you can buy with absolute confidence today, knowing that you're not only securing a great lifestyle here at number 23 Deakin, you're also securing your future through way of capital growth. And it's the infrastructure that we have access to here today that underpins that capital growth. Easy access to a number of shopping options, transport options not far away at all from the Western Ring Road, and of course plenty of school options in the surrounding streets. Everything at your fingertips. LALOR has been put on the map in recent years, and for very good reason. Again, all that infrastructure that surrounds us. The property itself, a beautiful example of an elevated triple fronted brick veneer. They do not build them like this anymore. Opportunities like this are becoming more and more rare. This is your chance to get into the market and ride that wave of capital growth, starting with getting the salt sticker up on the board. So buyers, if you'd like to reserve that right, now's your time to do just that. Where can I see a fair and reasonable starting bid for 23 Deakin? Who'd like to start us off, buyers? I don't mind the call. I'm in your hands. Start me where you like. Always takes a brave soul to start proceedings. When we call for money, most quiet part of the auction is at the start. You've got an opportunity, buyers, to mark your territory and stake your claim. You've got an opportunity to look every other potential buyer in the eye and say, those keys are mine. You've got that chance now to put yourself ahead of the competition. I'm in your hands. My instructions are clear. We are here to sell. If you're here to buy, this is your moment, your time. I've had mine and I've had my say. Time for you to have yours now, buyers. Who'd like to start us off? We're going to make it nice and easy with a vendor bid at 700,000, and we'll go from there. Bargain basement buying at that at 7. At 700 the bid. At 700,000, rock end bottom of the range at 700 now. At $700,000 the bid. At 700,000, I'll ask for 25 in the rise at 700 to make it 725. At $700,000. At $700,000 my bid against any other potential buyer here today at 7. Now if you've come to buy, this is your moment again. Time to put your hand up at 700,000 the bid. First call at 700,000. Are we all done? Second call at $700,000 the bid. Done. Finished. I'm hoping for 25, sir. Can I say 725? At 710, sir. Drive a hard bargain to get you involved and put you on top at 710 now. At 710,000, same courtesy to every other buyer here today. At 710,000, same courtesy at 10 and make it 20. At 710,000, the bid's there, 20 now at 720. At 720,000. At 720,000 on the phone here with Amana, 20, make it 30 now at 720 got. At 720,000, 30 if you like, sir, 720 the bid. At 720,000. At 720,000, one bid not enough here today. At 720 the bid, fairly been offered now at 720. First call at 720,000, all done. At 720,000, second call at 720, done. I'm taking 10, sir. 720, it's got to be 30 in the rise. I'll circle back to you. At 720,000. At 720,000, sir, can I get you back in for 10? At 720 the bid, got to be 30 in the rise. At 700, bargain basement buying at that, surely. You know it and I know it. Can I say 30 now? at 720, at 720,000. First call at 720, all done. Second call at 720,000, done, finished. Third, final call at 20,
30.
At 30, welcome and best of luck at 30 now, 730,000, let them know, fresh bidding against them at 30 now, at 730,000, fairly been offered, at 730 the bid, at 730,000, the bid's there now, fresh bidding at 30, at 730,000, got to be 40 in the rise at 30, got, at 730,000 in the centre, at 730 now, at 730,000, fairly been offered at 730 the bid, I won't take the 5 because he'll kill me if I do, at 730,000, make it 40, at 730 the bid, at 730 the bid, at 40, got now at 740, at 740,000, at 740,000, one bid, not enough for you either here today, 40 in the bids there, 50 can I say now, at 740 I've got to keep strengthening the bidding, show the buyer, show the competition you're here to buy, at 740,000, got to be decisive, can I say 50 now, at 740,000, looking for 10 in the rise, at 740,000, at 740,000, first call, at 740, all done. At 740,000, second call at 740, done, finished. Third, final call at 740,000. At 45 for short of my stride, to get them involved at 45. Same courtesy of Martin if they like at 45 at 745. At 745 it's going to be 50 now. At 745. At 745,000, fairly been offered now at 745. Back on the phone with the Martin at 45. At 745 now. At 745, sorry, rather with your buyer Valley at 45. Opportunity with the Martin on the phone at 45 now, make it 50. At 745,000, fairly been offered at 50, got 50 now. At 750,000. At 750 the bid. At 750,000, your file's still good with me. If you've got it at 50, I've got now, it's got to be 55. At 750,000. At 750,000 in the bids here. At 750 the bid. At 750,000, make it 755 in the rise. At 750, fairly been offered now. At 750,000. At 750,000, bid here. At 750, sir, can I say 55? You're out. Thank you very much for your bid here today. Was that a bid, sir? No, I thought I saw a hand go up in the air. At 750,000. First call at 750, done.
60.
At 60, and a great bid at that at 60. At 760,000, tell them to fight fire with fire. At 760,000. At 760,000 now. At 760 the bid. At 760,000, strengthening their position here today. That's how you buy. At 760 the bid. At 760,000. At 760,000, bids there. Opportunity with your buy there on the phone, Amman. At 760 now. At $760,000 the bid. First call at 760,000, all done. At 65, and welcome them back at 65. At 765 now. At 765,000, 70 if you like. At 65 I have here. At 765. At 765,000, can I say 70 now? At 765. At 765 the bid. Can't buy like that, man. Only like this. At $765,000 the bid. At 765, bids there. At 765, opportunity with you. At 765 I have. At 765, fairly been offered now. At $765,000 the bid. Once. At 765, all done.
Is it on the market?
No, sir. Second call at 765, done. Finished. Third, final call at 765,000, all done, all finished, silent, out at 765,000. At 767 and a half, yep. At 767 and a half now, same courtesy there, at 767 and a half now, at 767 and a half now, fairly been offered at 767,500, at 70 now, an easy retort at 70, the quick retort at 770,000, small bids help the competition come along, big bids show the competition you're here to buy, at 770,000 I have now, at 770 the bid, at 770,000 bids there on the phone at 70 now, at 770,000 once, at 771, why not, we'll go up brick by brick at 71, at 771,000 the bids at 71, at 771,000, asking for 75, Amman at 771, can I say 75 in the rise? At 75 now, at 775. At 775,000, you won, still good with me if you've got it, 75 and make it 6. At 775,000. At 775,000, fairly been offered, bid there. Opportunity with you now, 775. At 775,000, once at 775. At 775,000, at 772. I apologise, we'll take that bid back and say 72. At 772, opportunity at 75 if you like, at 772 now. At 772,000. At 772,000, revising their last bid there at 72. At 772,000, fairly been offered, bid there. Opportunity with you at 772. Once at 772,000. Done. Twice at 772. Done, finished. Third, At 73, welcome sir, best of luck at 773. At 773 in the bids here, at 773,000, fresh bidding now. At 775 now, they got there in the end, just the same at 775. I'll still take the one if it helps at 75 in the bids here. At 76 now, 776. At 776, at 776,000, fairly bid offered now, 776 the bid. At 776,000, bid here, opportunity with your buyer, perhaps 80. At 777, lucky sevens at 8. At 778, at 778,000. At 778,000 now, make it 80 in the rise at 778 I have. At 780 now got. At 780,000 and 81. At 781 with a nod of the head at 81. At 781,000, 82 now, 82, 83 if you like it, 82 I have. At 782. At 782 and 83 now. At 783,000. At 783,000, bid back there, 85 now, a better bid at 86. At 786. At 786 the bid. At 786,000, fairly been offered. At 88 now. Can I say 90, sir? At 90 now. At 790,000. At 790,000, fairly been offered. At 790 the bid. At 95 now, and a great bid at that. Take me to 8. At 796 and 796 now. At 796,800 beckons now. At 796 the bid. At 796,000, fairly been offered. At 797 now. At 98. At 798,800 beckons at 798 the bid. At 99 now. At 800,000, even money it's at 8. At 800,000, we are right now, so I was just about to come and tell you. At 800,000, you read my mind. At 800,000 now. You stole my thunder, sir. At 800,000, we're on the market, and the best news is the keys are with you as it stands. At 802 now, they're over there now at 803. At 803,000, we are on the market and selling here today. Make absolutely no mistake about it. I'm not going inside, not seeking further instructions. At 803,000, the bids here. At 815, great, 815 on top, sir, 815,000, a great bid. At 815, way to enter the proceedings, right at the end with a big bid. At 820 now, at 820,000. At 820 now, at 820,000, fairly been offered with a great bid. At 820 now, but they've got the keys. At 820,000 now, we're on the market and selling at 820 the bid. At 820,000, make absolutely no mistake about it. We're on the market, we sell at 820, bids here, keys are here at 820,000 now. Once at 820 all done. Twice 21, welcome back at 821. At 821,000 wasn't to be. At 821,000 now. At 821 the bid. At 22 now at 822, we're back down to ones at 23 now at 823. Only one big sir at 823 in the bids there. At 823,000, fairly been off now at 823 the bid. At 823,000, 25 if they like. Aman at 25 got. At 825 and 26 now at 826. At 826, 8 1/4 plus 1 at 826 the bid. At 826,000, fairly been offered. Bids there, keys are there, 29. At 829 and 30 now, if you like. At 829 I have. At 30 now. At 830,000. At 830 the bid. So only the one bid here today? You're definitely done? Thank you very much for your bid here today. At 831,000 now at 831 the bid. At 831. At 831,000 bids there. At 2 at 832. At 832,000. That was a bid, so you weren't telling me where to go. At 832. At 8. It's with you at 832 at the moment.
It's with you.
At 832,000. Can ask me next time around. I'll think about it in the meantime. At 832. 3.5. Yeah, 833 and a half. At 833,500. At 833,500 now. 833 and a half. 34 now. 35, back up to ones, that's where we should be. At 835 now. At 835,000, 36. At 836 and 37 now at 837. At 837, the bid's there, the keys are there, we're on the market, we're selling. 839 now at 839 and 40 if you like. At 839,000, bids there, 40 got. At $840,000 now. At 840 the bid, we're on the market, we're selling, we're paying 45. 41 at 841. I always hear the bigger number. At 841,000, bid there 42. At 842 now. At 842,000, fairly been offered now. 842 the bid. At 842,000, we're on the market selling once at 42 and a half. At 842 and a half. 42 and a half of the bids there. Take me to 45. At 843 and a half. At 843,500 now. Bid there, keys are there. We sell 843 and a half at 44 now. At 845 and 45. At 845 and 44 and 1 in 5. At 845 now. At 845 and 46. At 47. At 847 now the bid. At 847,000 bids there, keys are there. Opportunity with you, 48 now. At 50, can I say? At 49. At 849 and 50 beckons now at 849,000 the bid. We're on the market. We sell 849. Bids there. Keys are there. We sell once at 849. Done. Twice at 849. At 50 now, and welcome back at 50, at 51, at 851, at 851,000, bid here now at 851, at 851,000, fairly been offered now, at 851 the bid, at 851,000, fairly been offered at 851, at 851 bid here, opportunity with you now, need to know, 52 now at 852, 53, at 853, at 853,000, not going away with $1,000 bids, tell them to try something bigger, at 853,000 and the bids here at 853 the bid. At 853, bid behind, opportunity in front, need to know, we're going to sell, 853 the bid, bids here, keys are here, one's at 55 now, at 56, at 856,000, at 856 now the bid, at 856,000, that's right, asking for 60, at 856,000, first call at 856, all done, second call, 856 the bid, done and finished, third, final call, 856 the bid, at 57, 8, at 858, at 858,000, at 858,000 now, make it 60 in the ride, 858,000 I have, bids at 860 now, got at 860,000, at 861, quick back, another quick retort at 861, at 861,000, back on top, back with the keys at 61, at 861 and the bids here, at 861,000, at 62, at 860. 62 is the number, sir. At 862,000, you're absolutely sure. At 862,000, the bids here, the keys are here. We're on the market. We sell. If you've come to buy, you must bid me now. If you've ever hold your peace, we're playing for keeps. Dig deep if you want to buy. $862,000 the bid. The bids here, the keys are here. We're selling. Definitely done over there. Thank you again for your bid here today. First call. Another 5. 865 and welcome back at 865. At 865,000. At 865,000 the bid's back here now at 865 the bid. At 865.
66.
At 66 now wasn't to be. 866,000, how about 70? 866 fairly been offered over here now on the phone with a man at 66 the bid. At 866,000 we're on the market. We're playing for keeps. We're selling. No second chances here today. $866,000 the bid. Bids there, keys are there. First call at 866,000, all done. Second call at 866 the bid, done, finished. Third, final call 866 the bid, all done, all finished, all silent out at 866. We're definitely done. Thank you very much for your spirit of bidding here today. At 866,000, bids here, keys are here. We're selling, first, second, third, final call, done, finished, silent and out. We're selling, 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 sold. Congratulations and well bid. Please join me in congratulating our purchaser and our vendor here today. You've just witnessed